Aloha. Welcome back. We're going to do a little bit of economics, and we're going to start with the basics. It turns out to understand the functioning of markets, particularly we're looking at competitive markets with lots and lots and lots and lots of buyers and lots and lots and lots and lots of sellers. The first thing to think about, I guess, would be the sellers. And the way we characterize the behavior of those sellers is by relating the quantity or the volume or the output level they would be willing to sell and its relationship to the price. So the quantity that I would like to supply tends to be the quantity that would make me as much money as possible. And at different prices, the dynamics change. There might be the case that I'm willing to supply just a little bit at a lower price, but as the price gets higher and higher, suddenly it becomes more reasonable to increase the quantity that I'm supplying. A good example is with oil. If the price of oil is really low, then we extract oil from Saudi Arabia and places where it's just basically sitting there at the surface of the, just ready to get scooped out in a bucket. As the price gets higher and higher, it becomes sensible to start to drill offshore, maybe in Arctic waters, maybe in very, very deep waters. As the price gets higher and higher, it gets sensible to take shale in Canada and squeeze it really hard until oil comes out. That's a technology that's not feasible until oil is about $70 a barrel. Any price below that, I wouldn't bother doing it. And the idea is that as the price gets higher, and if nothing else changes, then the quantity I'm interested in supplying, or that we as a group are interested in supplying, should be increasing. That's supply. This is true as a basic rule for just about anything, but the supply curve is just a snapshot in time. As the conditions in the world change, the supply curve itself might shift around. This is just saying today, at this moment, given the cost of everything, the price of everything else, the cost of borrowing money, the attractiveness of other ventures, this is the quantity I would choose to produce if the price happened to be here. If the price happened to be here, I would choose, or we collectively would choose to produce this quantity. So the supply curve is a set of what-if relationships. It's saying, well, what if the price were here or anywhere? Then how much would we as a group choose to provide to the market? If the fundamental economic conditions or environment changes, the supply curve itself might change or shift, is a word we use in a lot of textbooks. If this is the supply curve for pineapples, then what if we have a new technology? Pineapple picking is usually done by hand, even in Hawaii. What if someone invents a pineapple picking machine which makes it much cheaper to harvest the pineapple? If that's true, my costs go down, and at any given price, I'd be willing to produce more. And the supply curve actually shifts. Another way to think of it is, I used to need this price to justify making a certain amount, but now that my costs are lower, I can justify making that same quantity at a lower price point. So if the costs go down, the supply curve kind of shifts down or shifts out. It moves the same either way, but it depends on how you like to frame it in your head. Other things shift the supply curve. With the case of agriculture, it could just be weather. It could be the attractiveness of other ventures. Maybe if suddenly land becomes very expensive because there's a real estate bubble, I might consider taking my pineapple field and turning it into a set of condominiums or housing development. And so as the price of other things changes, the attractiveness of other ventures or alternative uses of the assets that I have, the supply curve can adjust. It can go up or down as costs increase or decrease. Some professors will represent supply curve as a table, maybe an Excel spreadsheet where you've got a column of prices and next to it a column of quantities I would be interested in supplying. It's the same idea. This is just a table, but it's presented in a nice visual way. You could also express it algebraically. So let me just present a few other ways to talk about supply. Yep. That is, for various prices, here might be some quantities I would be willing to, interested in providing. You'll see this in certain courses, something like that. You could also write it out as a function. Quantity supplied is equal to, looks like 40 times the price. And then you can also write it out as a graph, either to scale or not. Like that. So this is 1, 2, 3 different ways of representing the same supply curve. Something about supply, of course, is that it's a bit lonely, sitting there on this graph. And like any thing, maybe we could help them out. Maybe the supply curve needs a special friend. I know you're thinking possibly a good idea might be, I don't know, what goes with supply? Supply and, I don't know, it'll come to me. Oh, I know, demand. Supply curve is sloping up, reflecting the fact that as the price gets higher, it becomes more attractive for companies to expand or for new companies to enter. The demand curve is sloping down, reflecting how much we as consumers would like to buy. And it's saying basically that at any given price, just focus on the demand here for a second. At any given price, how much would we be willing to buy? And again, it's just a snapshot in time. It's a very dynamic thing, and we capture it with a static picture. But for now, we say, given the price of everything else, given the income that we have, given the state of the world, this is how much we would be willing to buy at any given price. It slopes down because as the price gets higher, fewer people are interested in buying it, and as the price goes down, more people are interested. I think that's a very common sense intuition to have. So if we take the demand curve, we can ask questions like, what would cause the demand curve to shift? So let's say this is the demand for, let me just pick some random product. How about Sing beer? If this is the demand for Sing beer at any given price, what would cause it to change? Well, maybe income. If people have more income, they tend to buy more stuff. Not everything, but beer, for instance, would be one such thing. So I might just drink 3 beers because I'm running out of money, but if I have higher income, I might go ahead and drink that 4th beer. Other things are the price of related products, substitute goods, things I might drink instead of Sing beer. So if the price of beer Chang goes down, then the demand for Sing beer is going to shift. It doesn't have to be a competitor. It can be your own alternative products. If the price of Leo goes down, the demand for Sing beer might shift. If the price of Heineken goes up, then you might say, well, which one should I buy, beer Sing or Heineken? Well, suddenly when Heineken is more expensive, all else being equal, the demand for Sing beer will increase. So substitute products, typically other brands of things like Sing beer, would cause the demand curve to shift out. When the other things are more expensive, demand goes this way. If they become less expensive, it goes this way. There are a lot of other things we mentioned already.